Right now, an invisible legal loophole is quietly destroying the entire concept of personal property. For centuries, if you bought a physical item, you owned it. You could repair it, sell it, or pass it down to your kids. But major corporations have found a clever mathematical workaround that changes the rules of capitalism completely. You aren't buying a product anymore. You are permanently renting permission to use it. By the end of this video, you will understand the hidden accounting shift driving this corporate land grab, why used cars are losing half their value overnight because of hidden software blocks, and how Wall Street mathematically penalized companies for selling you things once. Welcome to What Actually Is. Let's start with something you can see and touch. You find a used Tesla Model 3 online, full self-driving capable. The listing shows all the autonomous features intact. You negotiate the price and complete the purchase. The moment the transaction closes, Tesla's servers receive your ownership transfer. Within hours, full self-driving access disappears. It simply evaporates. You own the car. You own the hardware. The sensors are still there. The cameras still function perfectly. But Tesla remotely disabled the software controlling those cameras. You just bought a car that cost you $50,000. Yesterday, it could drive itself on highways. Today, it cannot. The hardware didn't break. The manufacturer broke it from across the country. Or take BMW. They installed heated seats in every model they produced for the last decade. The physical heating elements exist in every vehicle. But BMW decided the heating element should only function if you pay them $8 per month. Forever. You own the seat. You do not own the warmth it can produce. This is the new economics of ownership. Here's the accounting reality. You own the physical steel, rubber, and plastic completely. You own those things. But you do not own the software running it. You only license it. That's the legal loophole that changes everything. Cars today aren't just machines anymore. They're computers with wheels. The engine needs permission codes from the manufacturer's servers just to start. The battery needs authentication to charge at full capacity. The GPS needs a digital key to function. Without that code, the physical object becomes a very expensive paperweight. But here's where it gets darker. Manufacturers don't just restrict features. They've legally weaponized the repair process itself. Enter the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Section 1201 of the DMCA. This federal law makes it illegal to circumvent any digital protection measure, period. The intention was to stop music piracy and movie theft, but corporations repurposed it into something far more powerful. A legal weapon against self-repair. A farmer buys a used John Deere tractor. The engine management system locks. He's not a criminal, he just wants to fix his own equipment. So he hires a mechanic who opens the tractor's computer and rewrites the code to remove the lock. That mechanic just violated Section 1201 of the DMCA. According to federal law, he committed digital piracy, a federal crime. The penalty? Up to $500,000 and 5 years in prison. The farmer owns the tractor. He owns the metal. He owns the engine block. But altering the code running that engine is legally classified as copyright infringement. The manufacturer owns the software. They own the law. They own your property. Printers work exactly the same way. Install a third-party ink cartridge. The printer won't recognize it. You own the printer, but the printer doesn't recognize your property rights. It recognizes only its subscription agreement. And if you crack open that cartridge reader to bypass the sensor, you've violated the DMCA. You're a criminal. This is the structural shift. Physical ownership no longer means what it meant for 300 years. You can own the materials. But if you don't own the code running those materials, the manufacturer owns you. Here's the question everyone asks. Why would manufacturers destroy customer trust and sabotage used markets? The answer isn't greed. It's math. Structural Wall Street math. Imagine you run a company that makes widgets. Two business models exist. Model A. Sell a customer one widget for $100. They buy it once, you're done. Next month, you hunt for a new customer. It's a constant grind. Revenue is unpredictable. Investors hate unpredictability. Model B. Sell that same customer a widget, then charge them $5 every month for the privilege of using it. 100 customers in your subscriber base, that's $500 every single month. Every month. Forever. Predictable, recurring, reliable. Wall Street investors assign a mathematical multiplier to recurring revenue. It's called ARR, Annual Recurring Revenue. If your company generates $1 million in ARR, investors value you at 8 times that number. $8 million. Compare that to one-time sales. A company selling $1 million in one-time revenue? Investors value you at 4 times that, $4 million. Same revenue, different valuation. The math says recurring revenue is worth twice as much. This isn't opinion. It's the mechanical foundation of modern corporate finance. A company needs predictable cash flow to survive in today's capital markets. One-time sales create chaos. Subscription models create order. Look at Keurig coffee machines. The original Keurig let you use any coffee pod from any manufacturer. It was a simple machine, no digital sensors, no restrictions. But it was a one-time sale. You bought the machine once. Keurig made maybe $30 profit. Done. Then Keurig 2.0 arrived. They installed digital sensors inside the machine. These sensors scan every coffee pod for an authorized microchip. Third-party coffee pods? Blocked. Competitor pods? Rejected. Now every customer who owns a Keurig is forced into a recurring subscription, buying Keurig-branded pods at premium prices forever. The hardware cost Keurig the same to manufacture, but the software infrastructure transformed it from a one-time purchase into a permanent revenue stream. Wall Street loved it. Their stock price reflected that shift immediately. Corporations have a mandate, not from customers, not from morality, from mathematical reality. Kill the one-time sale. Convert everything to subscriptions. Because if your competitors do it first, their stock price explodes. Your stock price collapses. You cease to exist. This is why software companies stopped selling disks. Why car manufacturers started locking software. Why printers sabotage third-party ink. Why coffee machines block competitor pods. Why streaming services charge monthly instead of selling movies outright. It's not a choice. It's structural survival. Just like a modern tech company relies on steady, recurring subscription signals to prove its value to investors, a growing educational channel relies entirely on steady viewer engagement to survive. Hitting the like button, subscribing, and dropping a comment acts exactly like a predictable growth signal for the YouTube algorithm. It tells the system that this research holds genuine value, helping us fund the deep diving that goes into developing these videos. If you're finding clarity in these hidden loops, consider backing our channel's engine. Now, back to the mechanisms of property. For centuries, Western law protected something called the first sale doctrine. Here's how it worked. A publisher sells you a book. Their rights end. You now own that book. You can sell it at a yard sale, give it to a library, lend it to a friend, burn it in a fireplace. Your property, your rules. That doctrine existed because ownership meant something concrete. If you bought something physical, it was yours to do with as you pleased. Software licenses broke that entire concept. Here's the distinction. A sale transfers ownership. A license grants permission. When you buy software, you don't actually buy it. You license the right to use it. The company retains ownership. You're a permanent tenant inside code you paid for. But that's not the full story. Here's the engineering infrastructure that makes this control possible. 20 years ago, software came on CD-ROMs. You bought the disk, you owned the disk. The software was stored on that physical medium. Once installed on your computer, it existed independently. The manufacturer had zero ongoing control. The software ran offline. You could use it forever. The first sale doctrine applied because ownership was real and physical. Then everything changed. Software moved to the cloud, and more importantly, devices started requiring constant internet connections. Modern cars, appliances, and smart devices now require what engineers call a tethered asset. This means the device maintains a mandatory two-way cellular heartbeat ping to the manufacturer's servers. Constantly. Every few seconds. The ping asks a simple question. Am I still authorized to function? If the manufacturer stops answering the ping, the device bricks itself. Your Tesla stops accepting commands. Your John Deere engine won't start. Your BMW heated seats go cold. Not because something broke, because the digital handshake was severed. This is the infrastructure that enables the entire rental model. A tethered asset is never truly yours because it requires constant permission from the manufacturer just to exist. You can own the hardware, you can own the metals and plastics, but you will never own independence from the manufacturer's servers. Old software on CD-ROMs was truly owned because it was offline. Once purchased, it was yours completely. Tethered assets are never owned because they're permanently online, permanently monitored, permanently controlled. The first sale doctrine assumed ownership and licensing were separate concepts. But modern corporations fused them. You own the chassis, you license the engine. The engine talks to the servers. And because the engine controls the chassis and the servers control the engine, corporations control your property. The infrastructure change from offline to always connected made this possible, and Wall Street demanded it. But this system is beginning to break. The right to repair movement is now the fastest growing consumer activism in America. Farmers are hiring digital aftermarket mechanics, hackers who physically crack open a tractor's computer chip and rewrite the code to remove software locks. It's completely legal. It's completely effective. Used car markets are finally pushing back. People are discovering which vehicles are most hackable. They're paying premiums for cars that can be modded. Manufacturers are losing control of their own products because people are taking it back. 23 US states have now passed right-to-repair legislation. The logic is simple. If you own it physically, you should own the code running it. Here's the deeper mechanism at play. The entire modern economy is now a battle over control. Corporations discovered that ownership of code is more powerful than ownership of materials. So they started separating the two. You get the materials, they get the code. But ownership has a gravity. It pulls back. When you own a physical object, you instinctively want to own the systems running it. And increasingly, you can. With the right tools and the right knowledge, code can be rewritten, licenses can be broken, control can be reclaimed. The machinery running our world is shifting faster than ever, and understanding the code behind it is the only way to stay ahead. Thank you for watching What Actually Is. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next mechanical deep dive dropping later this week. See you in the next episode.